You've been there. Everything was going right. A relationship that finally seemed secure. An opportunity you'd waited years for. A moment of peace, joy, and real progress. And then you did something strange. Something that, looking back now, makes no sense at all. You said the wrong thing. You created unnecessary conflict. You walked away for no reason. You made an impulsive decision, or you simply gave up right when you should have continued. And then came that silent, almost shameful question, why did I do that? Most people respond with superficial explanations. I was stressed. It was impulsive. I sabotaged myself. That's just how I am. But here's the truth that changes everything. It wasn't an accident, and it wasn't weakness. It was a pattern, an invisible, silent, automatic pattern that activates precisely when happiness starts to seem too real. There's something profoundly uncomfortable about good times when you've spent your whole life just surviving. When the brain has become accustomed to chaos, tension, the expectation of loss, peace becomes suspect. And this creates a cruel paradox. You want to be happy, but when happiness appears, something inside you goes on alert. Your body becomes restless. Your mind starts looking for flaws. You feel a strange urge to do something, anything, just to break that state. Because for the brain, happiness is uncharted territory. And the brain prefers familiar hell to uncertain paradise. After video 9, you already understand something fundamental. When the pain became too much, the brain shut down your emotions to protect you. It went into survival mode. But now something even more subtle happens. When you start to emerge from this freeze, when something good appears, the brain needs to ensure you don't expose yourself to emotional risk again. And that's when the inner enemy emerges. A part of you that seems to sabotage, that seems to pull the rug out from under you, that destroys what you most wanted to achieve. But this part doesn't see itself as the villain. It sees itself as the guardian. It believes it's saving you from something worse than pain, the loss of what you don't yet know how to sustain. So it acts quickly, before you become attached, before you surrender, before you feel too much. It creates conflicts, it generates doubts, it amplifies failures, it makes you run away. And then everything returns to normal, to the familiar emptiness, to emotional neutrality, to survival. What you call self-sabotage is actually a poorly calibrated emotional protection system. And as long as you keep trying to fix this behavior with willpower, it will continue to win. Because you are fighting against something that operates in the dark, and that was born to keep you alive. In the next part, we will reveal the most uncomfortable truth of this story. There's a part of you that doesn't want to be happy. And not because it's bad, but because it's afraid of what happiness might destroy. There's an uncomfortable truth that almost no one is ready to face. A part of you doesn't want to be happy. Not because it's weak, not because it's negative, but because, for the brain, happiness is uncharted territory. The brain wasn't designed to seek happiness. It was designed to avoid danger. And here's the central conflict. If you grew up in environments where love was unstable, peace was rare, or emotional security was never guaranteed, your nervous system learned something very specific. Chaos is familiar. Familiarity for the brain means predictability, and predictability means survival. So when something good happens, when life starts to flow, When you feel you're too close to losing what you've gained, the brain goes on alert. It doesn't think, "This is good." It thinks, "This is new. Therefore, it's dangerous." That's why precisely in moments of happiness, strange thoughts arise. This won't last. Something's wrong here. I don't deserve this. It's better to mess up now than suffer later. These thoughts aren't conscious sabotage. They're emotional safety protocols. After video 9, you already understand that the brain shuts down emotions to protect you from pain. Now, in video 10, we're seeing the next stage of this same mechanism. When you try to turn it back on, the system reacts because happiness activates something dangerous, attachment. And for a brain that has already learned that attachment leads to loss, rejection, or trauma, feeling happiness is like walking towards an impending fall. So it does what it knows best. It anticipates the pain. And how does it anticipate it? By creating conflict, by generating doubt, by sabotaging decisions, by pushing you out of the good situation before it has a chance to hurt you. This explains why you destroy good relationships. Why do you abandon opportunities at their peak? Why do you create problems when everything is calm? It's not because you enjoy suffering. It's because your nervous system confuses peace with threat. And this creates a cruel dynamic. Chaos seems comfortable. Happiness seems unstable. Known pain seems safer than unknown joy. This is where the hidden pattern of self-sabotage is born. You're not running from happiness. You're running from the vulnerability that comes with it. Because being happy requires presence. It requires surrender. It requires lowering defenses. And the brain that has spent years surviving doesn't know how to do that without fear. But now we come to the deepest point of this story. There's a part of you that holds all of this, a part that operates in the dark, a part that you rejected, ignored, or pretended didn't exist. In the next part, we'll finally name it the shadow. And when you understand how it works, you'll realize that self-sabotage isn't the enemy. It's the messenger. To understand why you destroy your own happiness, we need to go beyond behavior, trauma, or habit. We need to enter a deeper territory, a territory that Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not something external. It is not a defect. It is not an enemy. The shadow is the collection of parts of yourself that have been rejected, denied, or buried, because at some point in your life, they were considered too dangerous to exist in the light of day. Repressed desires, unexpressed anger, ignored emotional needs, judged ambition, punished sensitivity, everything you learned couldn't be. Those parts haven't disappeared. They have simply been pushed into the basement of the mind. And here is the rule no one told you. What is repressed does not die. It operates in the dark. The shadow doesn't speak with words. It acts through impulses, reactions, sabotage, and seemingly irrational choices. It appears when you're about to win, when something good begins to solidify, when happiness threatens to become stable, because from the shadow's point of view, that's dangerous. Happiness exposes, stability reveals, success unmasks. If you are truly happy, some truths will come to light. Old emotions that were never felt, pains that you weren't allowed to express, parts of yourself that were abandoned to survive. Then the shadow does what it does best. It pulls you back into the familiar darkness. This is where one of the most powerful mechanisms of self-sabotage comes in. Projection. You begin to see in others exactly what you don't accept in yourself. The success of others bothers you. The lightness of others irritates you. The happiness of others seems false, superficial, or threatening. Not because these people are the problem, but because they activate parts of yourself that you've learned to hide. And when those parts start to stir, the shadow kicks in. It creates internal narratives. This isn't for you. It's going to go wrong. You're going to be disappointed. It's better to destroy it now. And then you do exactly that, not out of self-hatred, but out of loyalty to the system that kept you alive. The shadow doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to prevent you from crossing emotional territory that, in the past, was associated with pain. Therefore, the more you try to eliminate self-sabotage, the stronger it becomes. Because you are trying to kill a part of yourself that you believe is essential for your survival. And here is the most important turning point in this whole journey. The solution is not to fight the shadow, it's to integrate it. As long as you treat this part as an enemy, it will continue to operate behind the scenes. But when you start listening to it, understanding it, and asking what it's trying to protect you from, something changes. In the next part, we'll talk about exactly that. How to stop fighting with yourself. How to transform the saboteur into an ally. And how to allow happiness without triggering the defense system. There's a common mistake people make when they discover self-sabotage. They try to eliminate it. They fight thoughts. They force decisions. They create rigid rules to not mess things up again. But this only strengthens the problem, because the part of you that sabotages isn't a flaw, it's a guardian. An ancient guardian, poorly updated, but still loyal to its original mission, to keep you safe. The shadow doesn't want to destroy your happiness. It wants to prevent you from crossing emotional territory that, in the past, was associated with pain, loss, or humiliation. And here's the real twist. You don't overcome self-sabotage by fighting it. You overcome it by understanding what it's trying to protect you from. When something good comes along, the shadow kicks in, because happiness requires 3 things the survival brain deeply fears: presence, vulnerability, and continuity. Being happy isn't an emotional peak. It's about remaining open when everything is going well. It's about sustaining the good without creating an escape. It's about accepting that something can be real and last. For a mind shaped by chaos, this seems too dangerous. So the path isn't about fixing yourself. It's about integrating. Integration begins when you change the internal question. Instead of, "Why did I mess everything up?" you ask, "What did this part think it was protecting me from?" This simple change disarms the internal conflict. When you observe the impulse to sabotage without acting immediately, without judging yourself, without attacking yourself, something new happens. The nervous system realizes it no longer needs to shout to be heard. The shadow begins to relax when it feels there is space for it to exist without commanding. This doesn't mean giving in to impulses. It means listening without obeying. And this creates something powerful: conscious choice. You begin to notice the exact moment when sabotage arises. The unease before the wrong message, the discomfort before giving up, the fear before destroying what's working. That moment is golden, because there you are no longer unconscious. You're present, and presence is exactly what dissolves automatic patterns. Integrating the shadow doesn't transform you into someone perfect. It transforms you into someone whole. Whole enough to feel fear and not run away. Whole enough to feel joy and not destroy it. Whole enough to realize that happiness is not the absence of risk. It's the ability to persevere despite it. And here's the final connection to the entire Mind Pattern Atlas series. In the video, Your Persona, we showed that the false identity doesn't arise from a choice, but from a need for survival. In the video, Numb Inside, we revealed how emotional numbness shut down pain to keep that identity functioning. And in this video, you understand why self-sabotage arises precisely when you try to get out of that mode. These aren't separate problems. They are layers of the same protection system. When you integrate instead of attacking, this system begins to reorganize itself. And that's how the cycle breaks. Not by force, not by motivation, but by awareness. If this video described you with uncomfortably accurate precision, write in the comments, "I am ready to stop fighting myself." This is not an end. It's the beginning of your integration.